This video is specifically for any government official who is listening but not sure. I just want to go very quickly. I get Upworld World. I just want to go over my timeline with everybody. There's so many videos floating around. People are like, what is this crazy woman doing? That's fine. Like I said, judge me, but help me. But on March 31st, 2026, they abruptly moved out of the house after I just basically said to Jesse, maybe not nicely, I didn't like the way he was talking to my daughter. On April 3rd, I realized that the twins' milestone issues must be addressed and started texting them, demanding, not nicely. The texts were pretty ugly where I was calling my daughter out. I addressed specifically where just the bedtime was from 6:30 p.m. to 8 a.m., over 13 and a half hours. On April 4th at 7:02 a.m., I text Maureen Johns concerning her son's temper to get him help. At that same day on the 4th at 7:07 a.m., I sent her a Facebook messenger. I'm sorry, at 7:07, I actually sent her text to her husband, Ron John, saying I was concerned, but he remained silent. So at 9:06 p.m. that same day is when I messaged Maureen on Facebook Messenger, telling her I was very concerned, that she blocked me. I also truly believe that she's the one that is helping her son cover up the medical abuse, because when I talked to DCF yesterday, they basically had only looked at him for the rash. Okay, well, they haven't... Okay, but they didn't go into the milestones and the other things that I had brought up in the complaint, especially around the not going to the doctor. So on April 5th, which was Easter Sunday, my brain actually did the math early in the morning about, wait a minute, we're not just talking a bedtime. I factored in their nap time and the timeouts, and it was like, they were in their crib for over 16 and a half hours. And I rage text my daughter. At that same day at 9:50 a.m., my daughter did say we could see the twins. It didn't set well with my soul. So at 3:08 p.m. on Sunday, I sent her a text saying that we were going to see them, but that when we all got to the park, I needed to know what day the twins had a doctor's appointment, and that I said she either needed to involve the authorities to make sure she was doing the right thing, or Papa needed to go until we at least knew the twins were getting help. Then they went total silent. Continued to rage text. Sometime on April 6th, I actually asked Google, if a toddler is in a crib for 16 and a half hours, is that grounds to call Children's Services? I was pretty much told yes. Wasn't 1,000% sure. So at 4:45 on the 6th, I actually text Jesse Halter's sister-in-law, who's married to Alex Welsh, his wife Savannah, asking for her help. I even gave her some information where Jesse had given me about her private life, just so she would know that I meant, like, that, hey, he's not good. She remained silent. So then I downloaded the Text Me app, thank you Dateline, and that actual horrible mom that was texting her daughter, and anyhow, that kind of thing. So I kept changing my number so that I knew they weren't blocking me. Why did none of them go to the law? Okay, that was in my brain. My husband was saying, I said, exactly, why aren't they doing that? At 5:38 on the 7th, so the next day, or on the 7th, is when I sent the text to Savannah, basically calling out how she had looked into my grandchildren's eyes and remained silent. And that she knew some of the things I was saying to DCF were true with the bedtimes and stuff like that. On the 7th also at 10:52, the Lake County Sheriff Officer came over and actually just trespassed me because, like I said, we knocked on the door. That was the only thing. And I showed him the actual crib. And as I stated, he said there was nothing for him to investigate. There's no abuse happening. And he was more upset about the marijuana smoke. Now you can actually see as we're exiting my house on the Ring camera, me apologizing to him type thing. And they were not here, to anybody who's hating on me. So also on the 7th at 10:52, or I'm sorry, I already went over that one. So on the 7th is when I was like, look, nobody's helping. I'm just going to, sadly, I'm going to have to turn my daughter in. So I filed a DCF complaint 101-88624. But I woke up on the 8th to saying it was not accepted because the victim did not live in Florida anymore. Who, Maureen Johns, gave my daughter that idea to just say you didn't live here anymore? Somebody who knows the system? I don't know. So somewhere in the early morning, around 4 something a.m., I called the Eustis Police Department because I couldn't get through to the DCF hotline. I called them to go do a wellness check. It's the only thing I knew. The dispatcher took all my information, but they knew my birth date, that's for sure. But yet, then some police officer called, like acting like he didn't know. I was like, oh, okay. Then I had a supervisor call me, and that I have a portion of it captured on a voice recording around 5:05 a.m. where he actually yelled at me and said this was all on DCF, and if they didn't want to do their job, that's on them. On the 9th in the morning sometime is when my husband we went on a walk, and he told me about how Jesse had been doing like the ordering parts to bragged about assembling guns. And I said to him, I was like, I think you need to pray about doing an ATF complaint. He didn't, I didn't even give him the chance. I came right on inside and did that. At 11:53, probably less than 2 hours after I did that, I actually saw Jesse was at a gun pawn shop. And I called the gun pawn shop, G&W in Mount Dora. You can ask them. And I literally was like, hey, you got a big guy named Jesse Halter. You want to call the ATF first? We've done a hotline, and hung up. I did. I didn't know what to do, you guys. So then I sat around like thinking this was the way it's going to have to be. And that's when my Heavenly Father reminded me about a lot of things, like my daughter telling me, why didn't you come save me? He also led me to my daughter's suicide note. Just these are the facts. And so then on April 12th at 6:27, after I'd already recorded them, I opened my first YouTube channel, posted 3 very long videos, not for the masses, but for the officials, so that they could see why I truly believe there's mental abuse, because what was reality was not, and how they had history of stuff, but the world couldn't handle it, I guess, at that time. On those videos, especially the 3rd video, I actually call out asking for officials, doctors, counselors, psychiatrists, and investigative reporters to help me. On Sunday the 12th at 5:14 p.m., I downloaded and opened my very first TikTok account. I posted a video of me calling out Maureen from that. I was able to cut that, but that was still too long, but based off what I knew, my friends had told me about the TikTok world. So I took the one video, edited it out where I was telling my grandson I was going to get him help, and I posted it so that the world could judge me, and it blew up. So thank you. On the 13th at 5:10 a.m., I emailed my local mayors, because I am in Umatilla. They live in Eustis, Senator Truenow, the Eustis Police Department, and Sheriff Peyton Grinnell. At 11:31, Truenow's office did respond to me, but didn't really do anything. It was lip service. I know that, especially based off the conversation I had with DCF yesterday. On 4:55 p.m. on the 13th, I emailed DeSantis' office asking for help. They've remained silent this entire time. On April 14th at 7:37 a.m., I sent a message to the White House asking them to help because of my officials in the mental health and guns type thing. Also on the 14th, I emailed local news and national news showing them what I did have at the time. I also separately messaged churches asking for them to stand with me and the scriptures I was standing on. On April 15th at 11:33 a.m., I followed up with DeSantis' office and added Truenow, so he was also aware. On the 15th at 5:50 p.m., I received confirmation from the White House that after careful review, that we have provided the appropriate federal government agency with a copy of your letter for possible assistance or further action. On April 17th at 4:26, I actually sent an email following up, put all the officials from DeSantis on down, calling them all out, saying that, who was it their job, that it was uncalled for, that children continued to be abused for 30 to 60 days in Florida. Yesterday on 4/20 at 5:25 a.m., I asked the officials if they'd heard about what happened in Louisiana. And then I bet there wasn't as much backup to show someone that was trying to get a man investigated who was definitely on drugs and definitely had guns. I told them about how I have videos of him carting out guns. They remained silent. At 2 p.m. yesterday, I got a call from DCF where they confirmed that it was not their job to investigate. They basically made it sound like all they had done was looked at a rash, even though I had provided them about the speech milestone and the doctor information. That's why I believe Maureen Johns is absolutely in the medical field covering. Maybe Ron Johns knows somebody in the police department. They've been here longer than I've ever been. Though I will say, I spent many a good summer in Eustis. My grandpa lived on Grove Street. Anyhow, at 2:11 p.m., Sergeant Paul Barnett of the Eustis Police Department, I have that on recording, said that he investigated and there was nothing criminal. And I said, so even though he has a medical marijuana card and registered guns, and maybe I said concealed carry, I said, there's nothing criminal? He said, nope. Okay. So then at 3:17, I followed up with the government official email I had going saying what DCF and Eustis Police Department was. And I asked them who's responsible to force Florida Law 827 or federal law 18.922.3. Whose job is it to actually investigate gun laws and child endangerment? I showed them pics of the actual bulletproof vests. They have all remained silent. So then at 3:24 p.m. yesterday, I emailed I believe our district attorney's name is Bill Gladson. It's definitely Gladson, who's over our Lake County asking for help after my husband says, honey, don't your shows have a balance, law and order? Yes, love watching that with my Grandpa Hatfield. Thank you. Once again, I'm only doing what I know. I don't know. Google me and everything I have. And then yesterday at 4:36 p.m., I emailed the Florida Attorney General's press office asking them for help. So those of you, and I'm not trying to, it took me yesterday hard not to go on this in a video, but those of you who are saying prayers for the people in Louisiana, listen to what the people are saying. That there's a video I shared on TikTok where the councilwoman or mayor or something, the town is asking for help. That's what I was doing. That's what I did all the way back on April 12th, was ask for people to step up and help me. So I'm asking everybody to do better, step up for Lake County, Florida, because something's evil around here. And I believe in my soul I wouldn't be doing this. What has been done in the dark here is coming to light today. And if you're a Christian and you want to pray that what is done in the dark, it comes to light today. Thank you, everybody.